Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt, and we're presented by Hyland's Leg Cramps. Stop the cramps, not your race, and NormaTec Pulse Recovery System. 120th Boston Marathon. Marc Davis, communications manager for the Boston Marathon and the B.A.A. Mark, I remember you coming by the radio station in San Diego, and you were driving a limo trying to figure how the heck does a steeplechaser and a 5,000-meter guy and a footlocker guy get a real job in this world?
It's tough, and thanks for having me on the show, Bob. I really appreciate it. Obviously, we got a busy and wonderful weekend ahead for 30,000 runners here at the Boston Marathon, and 10,000 runners in the 5K tomorrow, and mile races and everything. I'm really digging the Hyland thing. They're a new sponsor of the Boston Marathon this year. So that's really nice. But it's tough. You know, a lot of runners, when they finish running, you know, they try to figure it out.
Yeah.
You work in a shoe store, maybe you sell shoes for a company, or maybe you get into coaching. And I dabbled a little bit. And, I really found the idea of getting behind promotions and marketing of events, I think, was really kind of that niche to really talk passionately about the sport and about an event. And really, I think, I just started coming up here to Boston and loved the people up here, and started working for Jack Fleming, who is the communications director.
Right.
And so I worked for him, great guy, and it just, we kind of, Boston Marathon and we just kind of found each other.
So talk a little steeple.
Yeah.
When people talk running and you're going to a track meet, there's one place you got to be, right? You got to be at the pit.
Yes.
Where all the carnage happens, right? You got, first of all, you have hurdles that don't move, and then you got a water pit. And what I hear from talking to steeple guys is the first couple laps seem fine, no big deal. But when the end comes, when the piano, you don't fade in the steeple, all of a sudden the piano gets dropped on your back.
It's a tough event. I mean, I started off trying to have fun, but then I got really serious when I realized I was good at it.
Yeah.
And then everybody else was trying to treat it like it was really fun. I mean, they wanted to see me fall in the water. They wanted, what have you. So, I wanted to take it seriously. It is a tough event, and the first couple laps are easy. I mean, you're out there jumping over stuff. You're having fun.
Yeah.
And then, it starts to tire over, and you realize you have to jump over because those things don't move. They're 300 pounds. It takes at least two of me to move it. So, I mean, if I'm going to hit it, I want somebody to hit it with me. At least we move the thing a little bit. So it's a tough event, and I loved it a lot, and I had a lot of great success in it. There's a lot of confusion around it. I remember being on a plane on my way to Atlanta, sitting next to a nice couple on the way to the Olympics, and he says, "Oh, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Atlanta. I'm on the Olympic team for the United States." And he goes, "Oh, what event?" I said, "Track and field." And he goes, "Oh," or no, I didn't say track and field. He goes, "What event?" I said, "The steeplechase." And he goes, pauses. And he looks at me and he goes, "How is your horse getting there?"
I thought you were.
And I swear, Bob. I was in a zone. I couldn't do it. So I looked at him with a straight face, and I said, "Oh, he's transported there weeks in advance to get used to the weather and get acclimated."
I love
Didn't even
that.
blink. I just went with it. I didn't have the heart to explain it, how wrong he was or anything. And so it's a great event. I had a lot of success again, and I'm very, very thankful for everything I was able to accomplish.
Worst thing you ever saw out there in terms of somebody going down in a
The
pit?
worst thing was the 1992 Olympic trials in New Orleans. And a guy went down in the water pit, and he was leading, and everybody
jumped
onto him.
And you're wearing spikes.
Yeah, wearing spikes and moving pretty fast and coming down at a velocity. And I remember seeing him in the hotel the next day, and he had 30 stitches up his thigh. He had his arm in a sling. He broke his collarbone. He had 3 ribs broken. I looked at him, I was like, this is track and field. I was like, you were in a rugby match or something. I don't know what happened to you. So I've seen, Greg Metcalf had a big spill. The guy came out of Washington, had a bad spill. I remember back in the day, and hit his face really bad. I mean, I've seen some rough stuff out there. My mother hated watching me run the steeple.
Always
she couldn't watch. I literally begged her for weeks to show up in Atlanta to actually watch me race because she couldn't do it. I mean, she did not like watching me run the steeple at all. She was so worried. she got on some YouTube videos and saw some bad accidents and just decided she didn't want to watch me. But she came and watched me in Atlanta.
So a lot of guys go from 5,000 and up to 10,000, and then next thing you know, they're running marathons.
Right.
Did that ever?
No, not
entered
at
your
all.
mind?
Not
No.
at all. I mean, I was on my way up to like maybe running the 5,000 full time, and then I just realized the mileage I had to put in, and that just wasn't my gig. I mean, the steeple was that perfect distance between the mile and the 5K. You had to be a little strong
Yes.
of a 5K runner, but you had to have the speed to kick at the end and make the rounds
Yeah.
and finish strong of a miler. And so that was that perfect little niche for me. I didn't really have any desire to start logging 120, 130 miles a week. I mean, that's
Silly.
That's not my bag, baby.
No, you're a fun guy.
That's not my bag.
Yeah. Best race you ever had?
Best race I ever had. Boy, I had a lot of really good ones. I have to say, Carlsbad, when I set the American
Yes,
record, was a great
5,000,
race.
yeah.
I wish I would have won that day. I would say the 2-mile record, also when I set an American record, and I beat Khalid Ska, who at the time had been probably outkicked by maybe about 4 guys in his entire career, and I was luckily one of them. And I've had some great races back home in San Diego, and
Foot Locker.
Foot Locker was an
Winning
amazing. I mean, my home
championships.
crowd, my home course, and everything. That was a really great. I mean, God, I hate to say it, and I hope it doesn't sound bad, but I've had so many great races. It's really hard to narrow it down to one. But I tell you what, running in front of people that really support the event, and in front of my family and my friends. So anytime I race back in San Diego, that was really it for me.
When you guys are handling communications for a running event, and all of a sudden you have a national tragedy, you have the bombings in 2013. How did your world change?
It didn't just change necessarily in that moment. I really look at the last 3 years and how it's changed me as a person. And we went through a situation a year before with the heat. It was 89 degrees out on the course, and there was such a high alarm for that situation moving forward that we were, the organization was really prepared for any sort of weather conditions in 2013, and so we were so beefed up and staffed up so heavy that luckily that support system was there to really manage it. But really, our executive director, Tom Groke, the real thing that he instilled in us was just, our first and foremost attention needs to be to the runners that ran the race and how they're affected. And really over time, we started to really bond with those runners and bond with the city, whether you were here or not. I'm not from here, from San Diego. And you really just started to bond with the community and really with this event. It just took it to a whole nother level. And it was tough. I mean, I took advice, and I took the lead from a lot of great people at the B.A.A. Again, I mentioned Jack Fleming, Tom Grilk, the board of governors of the B.A.A., all great people. Our president, Joanne Flaminio, really just great leaders, and I took their lead, and it was tough. Nobody had ever been through something like that in the sport, much less this organization, and it was tough. But it was a real big learning curve for me, and in a way, I think to myself, I'm better. Not necessarily because of it, but because I went through something so hard that it made me a better person,
right,
and made me more conscious of things and more aware, and be able to look at things in a little different light. And in a weird way, I'm kind of thankful for that.
And then you go into 2014.
Ooh.
And so now everybody's like, oh my God, how do we protect people?
Yeah,
and we've got 10,000 more runners than ever before. So some of the challenges from that year.
It was tough for me, managing the media. It was just managing all, you got entertainment media coming in, and you got race media, and you got just media from all over the world that want to be a part of it. You got runners that everybody wants to run it.
Sure.
And, and it's tough. But again, we work with so many amazing people, all the municipalities that we work with, the state, federal, local, EMS, all the hospitals that we work with, the fire departments that we work with. Everybody just really kind of came together, and if this event wasn't already Boston's, it became Boston's event. I mean, it wasn't the B.A.A.'s event. No. It wasn't the running community's event. This became Boston's event, and everybody just really rallied together and has made it. And we've moved on. We've pushed on from that, and we still have a lot of passionate people that still remember that day. And today is a tough day, obviously,
Yes, anniversary.
To kind of to swallow a little bit, as an organization and as an event. But we're pushed through from the support of just a lot of great people in the Boston community.
From a communications perspective, the stories that tug the heartstrings have always been there, but I think they became more pronounced after what happened here in 2013 in terms of embracing those stories and telling those stories, because it's far beyond this guy ran 204 and this guy ran 205.
Yeah.
Those stories have gone from being important to sometimes essential for this event.
Yeah, it's always. I mean, we get a lot of we field a lot of phone calls. We get a lot of emails.
Sure.
People that are very passionate, whether they have something that they want to donate to us, or they have something that they've done in commemoration. And people that want to run, people that want to remember, people that just want to talk to somebody and bond with somebody over this event and everything that's happened to it. And it's tough, it's emotional, but again, it's part of that thing I was talking earlier about how it's I feel like I've become a better person, and that to me is really important. My wife's noticed that. I think my kids have noticed that, even though they're younger. And it's been. I work for a great organization, and we've come through in flying colors, I think.
When you talk communications, that whole world has changed. It used to be, if you're sending out a press release, you call the TV, you call radio, you're done.
Yeah.
Now with social and everything else, so what are your responsibilities?
I have the website that I have to keep up. I have the newsletters that I send out to the runners. I have the social media, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Vimeo. I produce videos. I manage videos that are produced. The events that we have, the special events that we have around the weekend, producing the videos and the slideshows and celebrating our champions that are visiting us every year. We got great anniversaries. Kenji Kimihara, who won in 1966, is back to run the Boston Marathon 50 years after he won it.
Wow.
We're celebrating Bobby Gibb and her 50 years of women at Boston. So that's a really big, neat tradition we're doing. We're celebrating our Native American heritage at the B.A.A. Thomas Longboat, who won in 1907, and Tarzan Brown, who they named Heartbreak Hill after, who won in 1936 and 1939. There's representatives from those tribes that are here. Billy Mills is here.
Billy's here.
Is in town to talk to people on behalf of those Native American traditions. Being 1/8 Cherokee myself, I'm very, very proud of the celebration this year. So it's a lot of things. I wear a lot of hats, but I somehow I get it done.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mark, thanks for taking time.
My pleasure.
Always great to catch up with you.
Definitely.
Marc
Thanks, Bob.
Davis has been our guest. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.